Hey guys, today I'm gonna make a short talking head kind of video on the mastery of micronutrients with the purpose of fat loss. Now, in order to lose fat, you need to understand that there are proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. And you need to adjust the amount of proteins, carbohydrates, and fats in order for you to start losing fat. But what I notice with a lot of my clients, and probably you might be doing that too, is that a lot of people have a hard time separating or distinguishing between different kinds of proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. And what do I mean by that? So when you start adjusting the amount of, let's say, proteins, you need to separate different kinds of proteins. So number one kind of protein is lean protein, so something with minimum amount of fat, something like cod, something like tuna, something like organ meats, most of it, something like lean cut of beef or pork or any other sort of meat. And then from that, you need to distinguish fattier cut of protein. So for example, eggs, fatty protein, fats, and protein. That's where most calories come from. Sometimes in equal amounts, sometimes more from fat than from protein. Or fatty fish, it's a fatty protein. It's not something like tuna or cod. So sardines and salmon are different because more calories you're gonna get from fat, and you're gonna get more calories per volume of that protein in general. So sardines compared to cod, to tuna, or fattier cut of meat or beef with more fat compared to the same but leaner cut of meat. So you need to understand the difference if you want to successfully measure your food in order to lose fat. Hope that makes sense. And then fats. So there are different kinds of fats, and there are two main groups that I'd like you to remember: whole foods fats and processed or refined fats that come usually in a bottle or in a case of butter in some sort of package. Nut butters, also a processed fat. So whole foods protein, something like avocado or seeds or nuts, those are all whole food fats. Something like, let's say, olive oil or butter or nut butter, those are refined kind of fats. And when in your meal plan you substitute one fat for another, I highly recommend you to make your fat loss program more effective to substitute the same kind of fats, whole food fats, for example, with the same kind of fat, and packaged or refined fat with also refined and packaged fats. And then guys, when it comes to carbohydrates, the picture is even more complex. So you want to distinguish between whole food starchy carbohydrates like beans, like grains, like starchy tubers like potatoes or sweet potatoes or squashes. Then you want to remember that there are processed carbohydrates that are made of some sort of flours, like say bread or any sort of pasta or pastries or pizza. No matter how whole grain the flour is, it's still processed carbohydrate. And then you want to also think about sweeteners and sugars, refined sweeteners and sugars, honey, agave, white sugar, cane sugar, brown sugar. All of these are refined sweeteners. And then the last, the one that you probably want to eat the most when it comes to fat loss, is fibrous carbohydrates. So those are your non-starchy vegetables, like your spinach or your Brussels sprouts or your broccoli or your bell peppers or raw carrots. And here also I'd like you to think about different groups. Leaves like spinach or Swiss chard, then you have green vegetables like broccoli or Brussels sprouts, then you have colorful vegetables that usually have more carbohydrates like bell peppers or tomatoes or raw carrots. And the more similar substitutions you use, the easier it's gonna for you to track your fat loss. And why all of that matters to you guys? Because if you want to lose fat without counting calories, without counting proteins, fats, etc., you need to still manage the amount of foods you eat and to adjust your fat loss speed and whether you are successful with your fat loss or not. So that's why you need to distinguish between different kinds of food groups you eat. And you need to be able to replace different foods according to their groups. The better you do that, the easier for you it's going to be to adjust your food intake of different nutrients groups in order to substitute one or the other with similar foods to, again, manage better your fat loss.